and welcome to Lisa's Italian Kitchen. Tonight, I'm making for you my absolute favorite recipe of all time, Grandma Caponigri's 3-meat sauce. So my grandmother was from outside of Naples, Italy, and 3-meat sauce comes from the Naples region. It's the classic, what we call ragu. Ragu means when you use ground meat, as opposed to my Sunday gravy, which is made with chunks of meat. So this sauce is going to take you a little longer to make, but believe me when I tell you, it's worth the work and the wait. So andiamo, let's get started. So first we start with 1 cup of extra virgin olive oil. We're going to pour that into the bottom of a large pan because you have a lot of ingredients going into this sauce, and we're just going to keep it on medium. To the olive oil, we're going to add 1 cup of chopped white onion, and here I have 1 chopped green pepper. My grandmother used to say that the green pepper just gave it a little bit of bite in the sauce. Cuts the tomato and gave it a little bit of bite. So this is the only green that you're going to have in this. Now notice that in this sauce, we do not have a sofrito. In my other sauces, I have the classic Italian sofrito for you, and that's carrots, celery, onion, and garlic. We don't start the classic Neapolitan ragu with that, but rather we just have the chopped onion and the chopped garlic. Another thing you'll notice in this sauce is I'm not chopping any garlic. I'm going to put the garlic in later on this toothpick. I'm going to put in 2 of these, 4 garlic cloves on each, because my grandmother believed in just flavoring it with the garlic instead of leaving the chopped or sliced garlic in, which is a stronger garlic taste. As a result, this meat sauce is a deliciously decadent, velvety sauce where all the flavors blend beautifully. Now remember, with this sauce, you have to allow time. We're going to let all of this cook down. So while this is cooking or sauteing, I'm going to explain to you the other items in the sauce. First of all, of course, we always only use San Marzano tomatoes. I buy the whole San Marzano tomato like this. If you can't find the crushed, I happen to have the whole. And so if I don't have the crushed, what I do is I run them through the blender and I make my own crushed, and has a beautiful texture to it. So here I have 2 26-ounce cans of the San Marzano tomatoes, which I've blended myself. Basically, it's the same as buying the crushed. I'm going to be adding to this, to give it more liquidity, passata. And as you know, passata is what we would call tomato puree. Whoops, something fell over in the kitchen. It always happens. And I add 2 jars of this. Granoro is an excellent brand. Just buy a very good brand of passata from Italy. You can find it in your local supermarket. So, though that's the tomato that we're putting in. Let's talk for a minute about the meats. Classic Neapolitan 3-meat sauce, obviously by its title, has the 3 meats. So we're going to use 3 pounds of ground beef. I like to buy the 85/15 because that's enough fat. Don't forget, the second meat that we're adding is 1 pound of Italian sausage. So of course in the sausage, you have more fat, which gives the sauce more flavor. So you don't want to get a ground beef that like an 80/20, that's a little too fatty. You want to use the 85/15. The 90/10 is too lean. I go with the 85/15. And then of course you have more fat and flavor from your Italian sausage. And then of course, what makes the Neapolitan 3-meat sauce so special is the delicacy and that wonderful flavor added from 1 pound of ground veal. So these are the 3 meats: veal, pork, and beef. And that's the classic Italian ragu. Now many people, I'm just gonna saute my peppers and onions that are getting nice and soft and translucent. Many ask me, Lisa, what's the difference between your 3-meat ragu and bolognese? Well, there's a big difference. Bolognese, first of all, comes from Bologna, which is in central to northern Italy. And the Bologna is in the region of Emilia-Romagna. Emilia-Romagna is known for their use of cream and butter. So Bolognese has a cup of cream. This sauce has no cream in it. Also, rarely does the Bolognese have the 3 meats. They usually just do the beef. So this is the classic Southern Italian Neapolitan 3-meat sauce. Excellent in lasagna, excellent on any cut of pasta. In fact, here I have a few cuts of pasta I wanted to show you. These are gemelli. You want to cut a pasta that's going to hold the meat sauce really well. So gemelli works very well because you see all the indentation. Of course, I'm a big spaghetti girl, so I think it's wonderful on spaghetti too. Now, spaghetti's smooth, so you may think, oh, the meat sauce is going to end up in the bottom of your dish. Nothing wrong with that. You can use a little piece of Italian bread and do the scarpetta, which means that's what we call picking up the leftover sauce with the bread, and that's delicious too. Some people just love the feel and the texture of spaghetti, as I do. That's my favorite. Of course, the classic with the meat sauce is a rigatoni. Rigatoni is a hearty, thick sauce with lines, and so the sauce is going to adhere beautifully as well. And then I have a classic Italian-American pasta, and that's good old ziti. We Italian-Americans use ziti for everything. Baked ziti, ziti with red sauce, ziti with meat sauce, you name it. We love our ziti. So this is a great pasta too, but you can use any pasta of your choice with this meat sauce. Okay, so my vegetables are getting nice and translucent. The green peppers are getting soft. The onions are getting translucent. And so my next step is to add the meats. And then we're going to cook these vegetables with the meats, and we're going to cook it till all the fat burns off. Then I like to drain the fat off the meat so the sauce is not too fatty or oily, and then put everything back in the pan. So let's start with my 3 pounds of ground beef. We're just going to put this into the pan. If this is too much sauce for you, you can cut it in half. You can do a half a pound of the other meats to 1 pound or 2 pounds of the ground beef. It's to your liking. Maybe you like where you taste more of the pork, so you want to use more sausage. Some people do that, of the ground Italian pork. It just depends. We're going to add the veal. And now we'll add, I just have Italian sausage. That's pork with the Italian flavors already in it. The fennel, salt and pepper, a little bit of oregano, and you buy it like that at the store. So here we've got this wonderful combination of green pepper, onion, and our 3 delicious meats. This is the base for our sauce. And then after this gets fully cooked, I'm going to drain off the oil, and then I'm going to add my tomatoes, my crushed San Marzano tomatoes, my San Marzano passata as well, and then I'll be adding all of my herbs, which we can talk about when I add them to my sauce. So it's a wonderful, fun process. My grandmother used to put this on early in the morning on Sunday, and it would cook for 6, 7 hours until everybody went to table for pranzo. So here you go. This is the base for your 3-meat Neapolitan red sauce. Also, I've gone ahead and jarred my 3-meat sauce. So my 3-meat Neapolitan red sauce that you can buy at Whole Foods, Amazon, my website, Lisa's Italian Kitchen. The inspiration for this 3-meat sauce was, of course, my grandmother's homemade 3-meat Neapolitan sauce. So very authentic. You don't want them to stay home all day on a Sunday making a 3-meat sauce for 6 hours? No problem with that. You can buy mine, which is authentic, organic vegetables, fabulous meat combination, exactly what's in my grandmother's sauce. Use it for your lasagna, use it for your pasta, make your life easier. I personally love to make sauce. So for me, this is not work. Everybody get in the kitchen and have fun. So now my three meats have cooked thoroughly, and with the green pepper and the onions, and I've drained off any excess fat. Look at that beauty. We just have the meats fully cooked, and now they're just gonna break down. Remember, the longer you cook meat, the fat and with the muscle of the meat breaks down, so it gets smoother and more tender. So here we have the meat, and now I'm going to add my tomatoes. I start with adding my crushed tomatoes. So these are my 2 cans of San Marzano crushed tomatoes, which I ran through my blender because I didn't have the crushed tomatoes. I had the whole, and that's fine. So we're going to mix all this in. So you'll notice the crushed tomatoes, they're chunky. They're still pretty thick. So that's why we're adding the passata to give it a little more liquidity. Now, I love, as many of you know who watch all my videos, I'm an Italian paste concentrato, so Italian paste from Italy, fan. I use it in everything. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons because this adds a wonderful flavor and texture. It's a different texture than the crushed tomatoes and than the passata. So it's just, we've got multi-layers of tomato flavor and texture going on here. And look at that already. All we have are the San Marzano tomatoes in here and a little bit of pomodoro concentrato, tomato paste. And look at that, delicious. That looks good enough to eat right there, doesn't it? I know my children would probably eat it right now, but it's not done yet. Okay, so now we're going to add 2 jars of our granolo passata. So we have some more liquid in the sauce. And remember, as this sauce cooks down, if it's too thick for you, you can always add half a cup of water if you'd like. You could also add a 1/4 cup of olive oil. You already have a cup of olive oil in here, so I wouldn't add another half a cup, but I would add a 1/4 cup. But look at that texture already. Look at that beautiful texture, just perfect. You can imagine that in your lasagna. The texture's perfect, no water. So, we don't like, my pet peeve, watery lasagna. Nice thick sauce, but think of that even on your rigatoni this evening at your Sunday dinner table. Or, with some nice ziti. It's perfect for anything. So there we've got a very nice ratio of meat to the liquid, the tomato sauce. Of course, my grandmother Caponigri knew what she was doing. She was a smart cookie. So this is my paternal grandmother, and then my maternal grandmother, my nonna, or my Nonna Franco, she was from Sicily, and she taught me how to make the classic red, which we use in Sicily, and which I've also jarred in my line of sauces. Look at that beauty. Okay, so let's put some of the finishing touches on it now. And by finishing touches, I mean we are going to put our garlic in the sauce. That's just going to cook down and let it get the garlic flavor in the sauce without having any chunks of garlic. So then we'll remove that before we serve the sauce. And let's start with our herbs. So I have here, again, wish there was smell-o-vision. This is imported oregano from Italy, and I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon. Absolutely delicious. I have 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. I'm going to put that in as well. My grandma Caponigri loved bay leaves in her sauce. So what I do is I take 2 bay leaves, as she did, and I put them, again, on a toothpick, and we're going to put them in the sauce because that way you can take them out before you serve it. And let me put in my second toothpick with the 4 garlic cloves. So we have 2 toothpicks, 4 garlic cloves on each, 1 toothpick with 2 bay leaves. And this is just gonna give the right, and we've got our oregano, our thyme, and then at the very end, we're going to put my beautiful fresh basil. This happens to be from my garden, but you can get it at your farmer's market or your supermarket. We're gonna wait and put the fresh basil in at the very end. because it's delicate. I'm going to add now about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of fine Sicilian sea salt. I'm going to add a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Then again, you may like more pepper or more salt. Once you taste it after it's cooked fully, you may decide to add more. And I do, I'm an Italian American girl, so I am going to add a quarter of a cup of sugar. With the San Marzano tomatoes, we don't have any acidity problem. So I'm not adding this to cut the acidity. I'm adding it because I like a little sweetness, a little flavor. Remember, we have the green pepper that's gonna give it a little bit of bite, underlying bite that's delicious, and I like a little bit of sugar, so just a quarter cup. And this is going to dissolve. So, eccolo. This is your delicious, decadent, heaven in a pot, 3-meat classic Neapolitan red sauce. It doesn't get more authentic or more classic than Grandma Caponigri's 3-meat sauce. And we're going to let this simmer and cook for a number of hours, and then we're going to mangiare. Delizioso. So we've let our meat sauce cook for hours, and look at this beautiful texture. Everything has cooked down, the meat, the green pepper, the onions, and I've removed the garlic on the toothpicks and the bay leaves, so they've flavored it, but we've removed it before eating. So now what I'm just going to do is tear some fresh basil for the last step right into the sauce. And that'll cook down too, but it'll give it a nice, fresh, bright taste to it. So this is a wonderful sauce for you. Will never have a more delicious tasting 3-meat sauce. This is tried and true for decades and decades, generations from my Grandma Caponigri. So I encourage you to try to make it and use it with your lasagna or any kind of pasta for your Sunday dinner. Absolutely delicious. Look at that. Life doesn't get any better than a pot of meat sauce. Buon appetito, tutti a tavola. Ciao, ciao.